Oscar, is Mr. Calhoun approaching the situation in the right manner?
I think, having been in these situations before, it's a difficult job and a difficult process, but the concept of ownership, transparency and communication, and then a plan, an operating plan to fix what is clearly has gone wrong, I think are all important points. And I think he touched on all of them. Safety is the most paramount thing in our industry. I think everyone knows that. So there's not a laggard in the group that's going to have an issue with this. So, yeah, I think he touched most of the points for sure.
Jeff, I heard a plan for a plan. I'm not sure I heard any new information about what might have specifically gone wrong here. I believe the term that he used was a manufacturing escape, something like that, which tells me, and he admitted as much, it sounds like they basically have no idea how this really happened.
Kelly, I think it's just the opposite. I think he knows a lot more than he's allowed to say. You got to remember that Boeing is a party to this NTSB investigation, and there cannot be more than one official voice of the investigation, which is the NTSB. So just having him say there was a quality escape is kind of on the edge of what he'd be permitted to say. He did a great job in trying to answer these very tough, probing questions. And so I think he might know a lot more. I know the NTSB knows a lot more. He's on the inside circle. The NTSB needs Boeing's expertise, but he's not the one to be able to, should not be the one that provides these details to the public.
Oscar, in terms of the timeline here, you have pointed that, the airlines now, Boeing has submitted these guidelines to the FAA. The FAA has yet to approve them. So there are some delays here in terms of what the airlines are learning as well as they try to figure out their next moves.
Yeah, no, there was something done over the weekend. I thought that it felt like it was going to be a good week to get a lot of the fixes and repairs in. But that was rescinded. And again, there's more clarity and a broadening of scope that's going. And so as quickly as that can be expedited, in my experience, it's often lots of conversations between the company, the OEM, Boeing, and the FAA folks that govern that. So that process would be really helpful to, I know United has got about 240, 270 flights a day that are affected by this aircraft. And so they're scrambling to find customers' flights to different places. But of course, with those grounded, they're not going to be able to. So the sooner we can do that, we can get everybody back and flying.
These also, Jeff, amazingly aren't the only issues here. There were also these sort of pressurization lights going off on the plane, which was flying over land instead of over the water as a concern. How does that relate back to some of these other issues with loose bolts, potentially with hardware manufacturing, and just with this aircraft class more broadly, the questions that people might still have about using them?
Well, Kelly, I think the pressurization issue was addressed by the NTSB at, I think, their last conference. They don't see any evidence that had anything to do with any relationship with this door. It was an automated pressure warning light.
Isn't that worse?
And so,
if it didn't have anything to do with this door, there was a separate reason the planes were just flying over land instead of water just to be safe?
No. Well, so these types of gripes, what they call in the aviation industry, these malfunctions or warning lights, they happen every day, all the time. Aviation is about managing risk. And so Alaska had a good handle on what these pressurization lights were about. They were probably related to sensor problems and automated systems that really had nothing to do. And even if they did fail, the pilots had manual control of the cabin pressurization. So I don't think that's related. But to your question about other things, bolts and production problems, that can be looked at together as a holistic aspect with not only the 737 line, but the 787 line and other production lines that Boeing has. If there's a quality escape,
right? I didn't mean to interrupt.
There's a problem there.